comp since 1995 and are yet to win a premiership, but that's gonna change in today's video. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be rebuilding the New Zealand Warriors on Rugby League Live 4 heading into the season. The fullbacks: 83 overall Chance Nickel Klokstad and 77 overall Tain Tuapiki. The wingers: Mawala Graham Taufa, 75 overall, Edward Kosi, 78 overall, Marcelo Montoya, 80 overall, and Dallin Wateni Selesniak, 86 overall. The centers: Rocco Berry, 81 overall, Ali Liatau, 75 overall, Adam Pompey, 80 overall, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, 85. The 5'8s: Tamare Martin, 82, and Luke Metcalf, 82. The halfbacks: Chanel Harris-Davida, 80, Sean Johnson, 84, and Paul Roach, 75. The props: Bunty Afoa, 80, Tom Ali, 78, Mitch Barnett, 83, Aden Fanua-Blake, 86, and Tanner Stowers-Smith, 74. The hookers: Wade Egan, 84, and Freddie Lussick, 79. The second rowers: Kurt Capewell, 82, Jackson Ford, 82, Lika Halasima, 75, Jacob Laban, 76, Zion Mau'u, 76, Marada Niokore, 81, and Dimitrik Sifakula, 77. The locks: Tohu Harris, 82, Jez Tavanga, 82, and Dylan Walker, 83. In round 1, we take on the Canberra Raiders, and this is how our team looks. The fullback: Chance Nickel Klokstad. The wingers: Dallin Wateni Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya. The centers: Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The 5'8 Luke Metcalf, Sean Johnson at halfback. The props: Aden Fanua-Blake and Dylan Walker, with Freddie Lussick at hooker. On the edges: Kurt Capewell and Jackson Ford, with Tohu Harris at lock. On the bench: Tamare Martin, Jaz Tavanga, Bunty Afoa, and Marada Niokore. As you can see, Wade Egan, Tane Tuapiki, and Mitch Barnett are all unavailable for this game. But it doesn't matter, we blow out the Raiders in round 1 as we win 22 points to 2. Dylan Walker, in his first game at prop, picks up 2 tries and the player of the match. In round 2, we take on the Redcliffe Dolphins, and the only change made is Mitch Barnett returns from suspension, so he is the starting prop. Dylan Walker moves to the bench, and that does mean Bunty Afoa drops out of the team. We get another big win as we defeat the Dolphins 24-0. Luke Metcalf wins player of the match. Chance has proven to be too crucial to our team. With the first game he's missed, we go down to the Knights 16 points to 8. Adam Elliott picks up a double and the player of the match. We're 10 rounds into the competition and we're sitting in 5th place. We have 5 wins and 5 losses on the season. We have a points for of 174 and a points against of 144. We have a points differential of 30, and we've lost 4 out of our last 5 games. In round 4, we beat the Cowboys 24-0. In round 5, we beat the Rabbits 21-8. In round 6, we beat the Storm 25-24. In round 7, we lost to the Bulldogs 16-6. In round 8, we lost to the Eels 22-4. In round 9, we lost to the Dolphins 26-24. And in round 10, we lost to the Raiders 30-16. It's the end of the season, and we finished in 3rd place on 34 points. We had 15 wins and 9 losses on the season. We had a points for of 481 and a points against of 385. We had a points differential of 96. We won 3 out of our last 5 games. In the first week of the finals, we take on second place Brisbane Broncos, and our team looks like this. The fullback Sean Nickel-Klokstad, the wingers Dallin Watene-Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8", Luke Metcalf, the halfback Tamare Martin, the props Aden Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett, with Wade Egan at hooker. On the edges, Kurt Capewell and Jackson Ford, with Dylan Walker at lock. On the bench, Chanel Harris-Avida, Jazz Tavanga, Tohu Harris and Marada Niokore. Sean Johnson has medically retired. Before we get to the finals, the Daily M Awards are here, and the Daily M Player of the Year, winning by 1 point, goes to Will Warbrick. The runners-up, Brian Tu'o, Sunia Taruva, Stafford Toa, Blake Wilson, Thomas Jenkins, Xavier Coates, Daly Cherry Evans, Mitchell Moses, and Katoni Staggs. The People's Choice Award goes to Brian Tu'o. The Captain of the Year goes to Sean Lane. Top try scorer goes to Will Warbrick with 15 tries, and the top point scorer goes to Adam Reynolds with 164 points. The Team of the Year, the fullback Dylan Edwards, the winger Sunia Taruva, the centre Katoni Staggs, the 5'8" Dylan Brown, the halfback Adam Reynolds, the prop Moses Leota, the hooker Mitch Kenny, the second rower Brendan Piakora, and the lock Fanua Pole. We can't win our first finals game of the season. We go down to the Broncos 30 points to 18. Jordan Ricky picks up the player of the match. We take on the West Tigers, and as you can see, the team list is still unchanged, so I'm hoping for a better result in the first week of the finals in our loss to the Broncos. And we defeat the West Tigers 32 points to 18. Dallin Watene-Selesniak picks up a double and the player of the match. Finals, we take on the Penrith Panthers, and the only change we've made is Freddie Lussick comes onto the bench, replacing Chanel Harris-Tavita. Go down in the third round, losing to the Penrith Panthers 31 points to 18. Sunia Taruva picks up player of the match in his last year at the Panthers. The Panthers go on to win their 4th straight premiership in the 2023 NRL Grand Final rematch. Isaiah Yeo picks up player of the match and a Clive Churchill medal. Congrats to him and the Panthers on winning their 4th straight premiership. What an incredible achievement. Here are some signings over the off-season. Kalen Ponga moves to the Titans. Keon Kolamatangi moves to the Eels. Brian Tu'o moves to the Broncos. Herbie Farnworth moves to the Eels. Moeki Fotuaika moves to the Storm. Liam Martin moves to the Eels. Thomas Flegler moves to the Broncos. Cameron Murray moves to the Titans. And Jesse Ramian also moves to the Titans. Our roster heading into the season looks like this. The fullbacks Sean Nickel-Klokstad and Tane Tuapiki. The wingers Moala Graham Taufa, Edward Kosi, Marcelo Montoya and Dallin Watene-Selesniak. The centers Rocco Berry, Ali Liatau, Adam Pompey and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The 5'8s Tamare Martin and Luke Metcalf. The halfbacks Chanel Harris-Tavita and Paul Roach. The props Bunty Afoa, Tom Ali, Mitch Barnett, Aden Fanua-Blake, Tanner Stowers-Smith. The hookers Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. The second rowers Kurt Cabwell, Jackson Ford, Lika Halasima, Jacob Laban, Zion Mauu, Murada Niokore and Dimitrik Sifakula. And the locks Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavanga and Dylan Walker. In round 1 we take on the Gold Coast Titans, and this is how we look. The fullback Shans Nickel Klokstad, the wingers Dallin Wateni-Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8" Luke Metcalf, the halfback Tamare Martin, the props Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett, the captain, the hooker Wade Egan, on the edges Marata Niokore, Jackson Ford and Dylan Walker at lock, on the bench Paul Roach, Jazz Devanga, Tohu Harris and Bunty Afoa. We've had another retirement even before the season starts. Kurt Capewell has decided to retire. But in round 1 we get the win over the Gold Coast Titans, 18 points to 16. Dallin Wateni-Selesniak wins player of the match. In round 2 we take on the Penrith Panthers, and as you can see our team list is still unchanged. Hopefully we can get the same result as we did last week. And we can. We defeat the Penrith Panthers 20 points to 18. Luke Somerton in a losing team picks up player of the match. 3 we take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who are sitting in 5th place. And as you can see, the team list is still unchanged from the first 2 games. And we get another win. We defeat the South Sydney Rabbitohs 28 points to 14. Adam Fanua-Blake picks up a double and the player of the match. And we're sitting in 4th place on 7 wins and 3 losses. We have 14 points, a points for of 174 and a points against of 147. We have a points differential of 27 and we've won 3 out of our last 5. We beat Manly 22-14. In round 5 we lost to the Knights 14-2. In round 6 we beat the Bulldogs 28-22. In round 7 we lost to the Storm 13-0. In round 8 we lost to the Tigers 16-6. In round 9 we beat the Eels 28-20. And in round 10 we beat the Broncos 22-0. End of the season, and we finished in 7th place on 30 points. We have 13 wins on the season and 11 losses. We had a points for of 367 and a points against of 346. We have a points differential of 21. We finished the year winning 2 out of our last 5 games, and we played the Sea Eagles in Manly in the first week of the finals. And our team looks like this. The fullback Shans, the wingers Dallin Wateni-Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8" Luke Metcalf, the halfback Tamare Martin, the props Jazz Devanga and Mitch Barnett, the hooker Wade Egan, on the edges Marata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Dylan Walker at lock, on the bench Paul Roach, Tohu Harris, Dimitrik Sifakula and Bunty Afoa. Before we get into the finals, the Daily M awards are here, and the Daily M Player of the Year goes to Will Warbrick. The runners up are Dallin Wateni-Selesniak, Corey Oates, Ruben Garrick, Ewan Aiken, Stefano, Charlie Staines, Tino, Greg Marju and Luke Somerton. The People's Choice Award goes to Corey Oates. Captain of the Year goes to Tavita Pangai Jr. Top try scorer goes to Will Warbrick with 21 tries. And the top point scorer goes to Samuela Fainu with 162 points. The Team of the Year, the fullback Jareem Buller, the winger Will Warbrick, center Solomon Sakuru, 5'8" Latu Fainu, halfback Jackson Hastings, prop Samuela Fainu, hooker Harry Grant, second rower Eliezer Katoa, and lock Fanua Pole. We get past Manly, defeating them 13 points to 12 in the first week of the finals. Tamare Martin kicks the game-winning field goal and picks up the player of the match. In the second week of the finals, we take on the North Queensland Cowboys, and the only change made to the team, Adam Fanua-Blake comes back from injury, so Jazz Tavanga moves back to the bench, and Dimitri Sivakula drops out of the team. We go down to the North Queensland Cowboys in the second round of the finals. They beat us by 13, 27 points to 14. Semi Velame picks up player of the match. The West Tigers go on to win the grand final, beating the North Queensland Cowboys 24 points to nil in the 2005 grand final rematch. Charlie Staines picks up a double, the player of the match and the Clive Churchill medal. Congrats to him and the Tigers on winning the premiership. Some off-season signings that have happened are these: Dylan Edwards goes to Parramatta, Scott Drinkwater goes to the Dragons, Clint Gutherson goes to the Knights, Isaac Targo goes to the Storm, Tom Burgess and Sylvia Havili go to the Eels, Josh King goes to the Titans, Tolu Taukula goes to the Broncos, Sean Lane goes to the Sharks, Ezra Mam goes to the Dolphins, Taylor May goes to the Seagulls, Stefano goes to the Titans, Griffin Neem goes to the Dolphins, Fanua Pole goes to the Sharks, and Daniel Saifidi goes to the Bulldogs. Our roster going into the season looks like this: the fullbacks Shans and Tane Tuapiki, the wingers Edward Kosi, Marcelo Montoya, and Dallin Watani Selesniak, the centers Rocco Berry, Ali Liatawa, Adam Pumpy, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8" Tamare Martin and Luke Metcalf, the halfbacks Chanel Harris-Tavita and Paul Roach, the props Adam Fanua-Blake, Tom Ali, Mitch Barnett, and Adam Fanua-Blake, the hookers Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick, the second rowers Jackson Ford, Lika Halasima, Jacob Laban, Zion Mau'u'u, Murata Niokore, Dimitri Sivakula, and the locks Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavanga, and Dylan Walker. In round 1, we played the Newcastle Knights, and our team looks like this: the fullback Shans, the wingers Dallin Watani Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8" Luke Metcalf, the halfback Tamare Martin, the props Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett, with Wade Egan at hooker, the second rowers Murata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Dylan Walker at lock. On the bench, Paul Roach, Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavanga and Bunty Afoa. We get a big win in round 1, defeating the Newcastle Knights 24-0. Adam Fanua-Blake wins player of the match. In round 2, we play the Redcliffe Dolphins, and the only change to our side is Paul Roach starts at hooker, and Chanel Harris-Tavita joins the bench in place of the injured Wade Egan. We start the season without conceding a try, beating the Dolphins 12 points to nil. Rocco Berry picks up player of the match. In round 3, we take on the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and as you can see, our team is still unchanged. Wade Egan is still out with injury. Our 2-game winning streak comes to an end with a 22-18 loss over the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Talatau Amon picks up the player of the match. We're 10 games into the competition, and we're currently sitting in 3rd spot on 16 points. We have 8 wins and 2 losses. We have a points for of 200 and a points against of 119. We have a points differential of 81. We've won 4 out of our last 5 games. In round 4, we beat the Sharks 28-24. In round 5, we beat the Eels 26-2. In round 6, we beat the Raiders 22-18. In round 7, we beat the Bulldogs 12-0. In round 8, we beat the Broncos 22-20. In round 9, we beat the Storm 30 points to 20. And in round 10, we lost to the Titans 13-6. Nico Hines is off contract, so I'm going to try and recruit him to New Zealand. I'm going to offer him $900,000 across 3 seasons. And he signs with the New Zealand Warriors. Chanel Harris-Tavita is also off contract, so I'm going to offer him $475,000 across 3 seasons. And he resigns with us as well. The end of the season, and we finished in first place on 38 points. We have 17 wins and 7 losses. We have a points for of 423 and a points against of 297. We have a points differential of plus 126. We take on the West Tigers. This is what our team looks like. The fullback Sean Snickel-Klokstad, the wingers Dallin Watani-Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the 5'8 Luke Metcalf, Tamari Martin the halfback, the props Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett, the hooker Wade Egan, on the edges Murata Niokore, Jackson Ford with Dylan Walker at lock, on the bench Paul Roach, Tohu Harris, Jazz Devanga and Bunty Afoa. Before we get to the finals, the Daily M awards are here, and the Daily M Player of the Year goes to Herbie Farnworth. The runners up Xavier Coates, Rocco Berry, Bailey Simonson, Michaeli Ravalawa, Kyle Felt, Abby Coruscant, Solomon Sakuru, Thomas Jenkins and Selwyn Cobbo. The People's Choice Award goes to Bailey Simonson. The Captain of the Year goes to Haumo Olakawatu. Top try scorer goes to Micah Sivo with only 13 tries. And top point scorer goes to Herbie Farnworth with 166 points. The Team of the Year: fullback Dylan Edwards, winger Bailey Simonson, centre Herbie Farnworth, 5'8 Latu Fainu, halfback Tom Weaver, prop Taniela Paseska, hooker Joey Lussick, second rower Haumo Olakawatu, and lock Justin Matamua. We move on to the third round with a 20 points to 6 win over the West Tigers. Dylan Walker picks up Player of the Match. We take on the Brisbane Broncos, and the only change made to our side is Adam Pompey replaces the suspended Tohu Harris. And Tohu Harris is a big miss. We go down to the Brisbane Broncos 20 points to 14. Jordan Ricky picks up Player of the Match. In the grand final, beating the Cronulla Sharks 16 points to 2. Thomas Flegler picks up Player of the Match and the Clive Churchill Medal. Congrats to him and the Broncos on winning the grand final. That have happened over the off-season. Nico Hines goes to the Warriors, Reece Walsh to the Rabbits, Latrell Mitchell to the Raiders, Bradman Best to the Panthers, Damien Cook to the Sea Eagles, Campbell Graham to the Titans, Jermaine Hopgood to the Storm, Keon Kolamatangi to the Panthers, Sean Russell to the Broncos, Blake Taff to the Sharks, Josh Curran to the Rabbits, Josh King to the Dragons, Jacob Carraz to the Storm, Jesse Ramian back to the Knights, Marion Seve to the Sharks, Josh Aloye to the Bulldogs, Cade Dykes to the Broncos, Viliami Kickout to the Broncos, Moses Leota to the Dragons, and Jeremiah Nanai to the Sea Eagles. This is our roster heading into the year. The fullback Tane Tuapiki, the wingers Kane Bradley, Edward Kosi, Marcelo Montoya, and Dallin Wateni-Selesniak. The centers Rocco Berry, Ali Leotau, Adam Pompey, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The 5'8s Adam Cook and Tamare Martin and Luke Metcalf. The halfbacks Chanel Harris-Tavita, Nico Hines, and Paul Roach. The props Bunty Afoa, Tom Ali, Mitch Barnett, and Adam Fanua-Blake. The hookers Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. The second rowers Brendan Atwood, Jackson Ford, Lika Halasima, Jacob Laban, Zion Mau'u'u, Trey Mooney, Murata Niokore, and Dimitrik Sifakula. And the locks Tohu Harris, Jaz Devanga, and Dylan Walker. In round 1, we take on the North Queensland Cowboys, and this is how our team looks. The fullback Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the wingers Dallin Wateni-Selesniak and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey, the 5'8 Luke Metcalf, the halfback Nico Hines, the prop Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett, with Wade Egan at hooker. On the edges Murata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Dylan Walker at lock. On the bench Tamare Martin, Tohu Harris, Jaz Devanga, and Bunty Afoa. We start the season off with a 12-point win over the Cowboys, 26 points to 14. Murata Niokore picks up player of the match. In round 2, we take on the Brisbane Broncos, and as you can see, the team list is still unchanged from last week. We start off the season 2-0 with a 28-point win over the Broncos, 30 points to 2. Marcelo Montoya picks up player of the match. In round 3, we take on the Melbourne Storm, and the team is still unchanged from the first 2 weeks. Hopefully we can get the same result we did up against the Storm. And we can. We beat them 12 points to 0. Dallin Wateni-Selesniak picks up the player of the match. We're 10 rounds in, and we're sitting in 6th place on 12 points. We have 6 wins on the season and 4 losses. We have a points for of 165 and a points against of 130. We have a points differential of 35. We've lost 3 out of our last 5 games. Round 4, we beat the Bulldogs 27-20. Round 5, we lost to Manly 22-10. Round 6, we lost to the Panthers 15-8. Round 7, we lost to the Titans 26-12. Round 8, we beat the Tigers 20-10. Round 9, we lost to Parramatta 17-4. And in round 10, we beat the Sharks 16-4. Tino is off contract, so I'm going to offer him $600,000 for 3 years. And he accepts our offer. He is going to be a New Zealand Warrior next year. At the end of the season, we finished in 7th place on 30 points. We had 13 wins and 11 losses. We had a points for of 408 and a points against of 413. We have a points differential of -5, and we lost 3 out of our last 5 games. In the first week of the finals, we take on the Redcliffe Dolphins, and the team is a little jumbled up this week. The fullback Tamare Martin, the wingers Marcelo Montoya and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, the centers Adam Pompey and Dylan Walker, the 5'8 Luke Metcalf, the halfback Nico Hines, the props captain Adam Fanua-Blake and Jaz Devanga, the hooker Wade Egan, the second rowers Murata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Tohu Harris at lock. On the bench, Paul Roach, Bunty Afoa, Dimitrik Sifakula, and Tom Ali. Rocco Berry is out with suspension, Mitch Barnett is out with injury, and Dallin Wateni-Selesniak has retired. They are all unavailable for this game. Before the season starts, the Daily M Awards are here. And the Daily M Player of the Year winning by 1 point, goes to Matt Timoko. The runners-up, Marcelo Montoya, Jack Bostock, G. Hamit Shibasaki, Nick Meaney, Albert Hobawadi, Nick Kotrick, Justin Matamua, Britton Nakora, and Greg Marju. The People's Choice Award goes to Jack Bostock, Captain of the Year, Elliot Whitehead, Top Try Scorer, Nick Meaney with 16 tries, Top Point Scorer, Jamal Fogarty with 176 points. The Team of the Year, Fullback Latrell Mitchell, the Winger Nick Kotrick, Centre Matt Timoko, 5'8" Ethan Strange, Halfback Jamal Fogarty, Prop David Clemmer, Hooker Peter Mazulius, Second Rower Elliot Whitehead, and Lock Corey Horsburgh. The Team of the Year has been dominated by the Raiders, with only one not rated player making the team. We go out in the first round, losing to the Dolphins 24 points to 14. Tyson Gamble with a double and wins Player of the Match. The Manly Sea Eagles go on to win the premiership, defeating the South Sydney Rabbitohs 28-0 in the grand final. Mike Acevo picks up Player of the Match and the Clive Churchill Medal. Congrats to him and the Sea Eagles for winning the premiership. Some off-season signings that have happened. We've signed Tino, Harry Grant signed with the Cowboys, Cameron Murray signed with the Knights, Herbie Farnworth signed with the Dolphins, Will Penasini signed with the Tigers, Jake Travojevic signed with the Dragons, Tom Dearden signed with the Tigers, Dan Gagai signed with the Raiders, Marion Seve signed with the Eels, Aiden Caesar signed with the Cowboys, Chad Townsend signed with the Titans, Josh Adokar signed with Manly, Jack Bird signed with the Tigers, Tohu Harris signed with the Sharks, David Clemmer signed with the Sharks, and Jaden Sewer signed with the Storm. This is our roster heading into the year. The fullback Tane Tuapiki, the wingers Kane Bradley, Edward Kosi, Lever Lee, and Marcelo Montoya. The centers Rocco Berry, Ali Leotawa, Adam Pompey, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The 5'8" Adam Cook and Luke Metcalf. The halfback Chanel Harris-Davida, Nico Hines, and Paul Roach. The props Bunty Afoa, Mitch Barnett, Tino, and Aden Fanua-Blake. The hookers Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. The second rowers Jackson Ford, Lika Halasima, Zion Mau'u, Trey Mooney, Marada Niokore, and Dimitri Sifakula, and the lock Jazz Tafanga. In round 1, we take on the Melbourne Storm, and this is how we look. The fullback Tane Tuapiki, the wingers Edward Kosi and Marcelo Montoya, the centers Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey, the 5'8" Luke Metcalf, the halfback Nico Hines, the prop and captain Adam Fanua-Blake and Tino, with Freddie Lussick at hooker. On the edges, Marada Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Mitch Barnett at lock. On the bench, Paul Roach, Jazz Tavanga, Bunty Afoa, and Dimitri Sifakula. We don't get off to a good start. We go down 30 points to 10 in the first week of the finals. Jai Arrow picks up a double and the player of the match. In round 2, we take on the 6th place Cowboys, and as you can see, the team is still unchanged from the first week. Hopefully we can get a better result. And we can. We defeat the North Queensland Cowboys 30 points to 2. Rocco Berry with a double and the player of the match. Round 3, we take on the Parramatta Eels. There's been a few changes to the team. Chanel Harris-Avida replaces the injured Nico Hines at halfback. Wade Egan comes back from injury at hooker. He replaces Freddie Lussick, who joins the bench, who replaces the suspended Paul Roach. Even after all our injuries,
we start the year 2-1 by defeating the Parramatta Eels 16 points to 12. Wade Egan, in his first game of the season, picks up player of the match. Rounds into the competition and we're sitting in 7th place on 12 points. We have 6 wins and 4 losses. We have a points for of 185 and a points against of 192. We have a points differential of -7 and we've won 4 out of our last 5 games. In round 4, we lost to the Dolphins 28-24. In round 5, we lost to the Broncos 22-2. In round 6, we beat the Dragons 22-18. In round 7, we beat the Knights 26-12. In round 8, we lost to the Raiders 24-0. In round 9, we beat Manly 28-24. And in round 10, we beat the Panthers 27-20. The wing position is our weakest link, so I'll be offering Sunia Turuva a $500k deal for 3 seasons, and he signs with us. It's the end of the season and we're sitting in 3rd place on 36 points. We have 16 wins and 8 losses on the season. We have a points for of 426 and a points against of 402. We have a points differential of 24 and we ended the season on a 5-game winning streak. In the first week of the finals, we take on the Dolphins for the 2nd year in a row, and this is how our team looks. The fullback, Tain Tuapiki, the wingers, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Marcelo Montoya, the centers, Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey, the 5'8", Luke Metcalf, the halfback, Nico Hines, the prop, Captain Adam Fanua-Blake and Tino, the hooker, Wade Egan, on the edges, Murata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with Mitch Barnett at lock. On the bench, Paul Roach, Bunty Arfoa, Jose Davanga and Dimitrik Sifakula. Before we get to the finals, the Daily M awards are here. And the Daily M Player of the Year, winning by 1 point, is Jackson Polo. The runners-up, Brian To'o, Jason Saab, Matt Timoko, Josiah Puhulu, Jacob Preston, Greg Maju, Dean Mariner, Marion Seve, and Rocco Berry. The People's Choice Award goes to Jackson Polo. Captain of the Year goes to Jacob Preston. Top try scorer goes to Dean Mariner with 22 tries. And the top point scorer goes to Blake Taff with 153 points. The Team of the Year, fullback Blake Taff, winger Dean Mariner, centre Matt Timoko, 5'8", Jerome Luai, halfback Jaden Sullivan, prop Griffin Neem, hooker Jacob Little, second rower Jacob Preston, and lock Tohu Harris. We're off straight to the 3rd round with a 10-point win over the Dolphins, 20 points to 10. Wade Egan picks up a double and the player of the match. In the 3rd week of the finals, we take on the 4th place Brisbane Broncos. And as you can see, the team list is still unchanged from the 1st week. We move on to the grand final with a 14-point win over the Broncos, 30 points to 16. Rocco Berry picks up the player of the match. Play the Great Cliff Dolphins in the grand final, and the only change made to our team is Edward Kosi joins the bench, replacing the injured Bunty Arfoa. Other than that, the team is still the same. We end up getting blown out by the Dolphins in the grand final. We lose 30 points to 12. Ruben Cotter picks up player of the match and the Clyde Churchill medal. Congrats to him and the Dolphins on winning the premiership. Some signings that have happened over the off-season are Nathan Cleary going to the Dolphins, Payne Haas going to the Storm, Scott Drinkwater going to the Bulldogs, Jacob Saifidi going to the Cowboys, Nelson going to the Eels,
Tom Burgess going to the Dolphins, Brian Kelly going back to Manly, Josh King going to the Bulldogs, Nathan Brown going to the Titans, Corey Horsburgh going to the Tigers, Lachlan Ilias going to the Knights, Isaac Liu going to the Panthers, Tavita Pangai Jr. going to the Sharks, Isaiah Papali'i going to the Cowboys, and Fanua Pole going to the Eels. This is our roster heading into the year. The fullback, Tane Tuapiki. The wingers, Kane Bradley, Edward Kosi, Levi Lee, Marcelo Montoya, and Sunia Taruva. The centers, Rocco Berry, Ali Liatawa, Adam Pompey, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The 5'8s, Adam Cook and Luke Metcalf. The halfbacks, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Nico Hines, and Paul Roach. The props, Bunty Afoa, Mitch Barnett, Tino, and Adam Fanua-Blake. The hookers, Wade Egan and Freddie Lussick. The second rowers, Jackson Ford, Lika Halasima, Trey Mooney, Murata Niokore, and Dimitrik Sifakula. And the lock, Jazz Tavanga, South Sydney Rabbitohs. And this is what our team looks like. Fullback, Tane Tuapiki. The wingers, Sunia Taruva and Marcelo Montoya. The centers, Rocco Perry and Adam Pompey. The 5'8, Luke Metcalf. The halfback, Nico Hines. The props, Captain Adam Fanua-Blake and Tino. The hooker, Wade Egan. On the edges, Murata Niokore and Jackson Ford, with the lock being Jazz Tavanga. On the bench, Paul Roach, Mitch Barnett, Bunty Afoa, and Dimitrik Sifakula. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck proved to be a big out again as we go down to the Rabbits 18-4 in round 1. Viliami Fafita picks up player of the match. In round 2, we take on the North Queensland Cowboys, and as you can see, the team list is still unchanged. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck will be out for one more game. We start the season 0-2 with a 16-point loss to the Cowboys, 24-18. Harry Grant picks up player of the match. In round 3, we take on St. George Dragons, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is back, which means Marcelo Montoya drops out of the team. That is the only change I've made. And it doesn't matter, we go down to the Dragons as well, 20 points to 14, with Harrison Hassett picking up player of the match. We're 10 games in, and we're somehow fighting for the 8th and 9th spot. On 10 points, we have 5 wins and 5 losses. We have a points for of 167 and a points against of 152. We've had 3 wins in a row, and we've won 3 out of our last 5 games. In round 4, we beat the Panthers 26-18. In round 5, we beat the Dolphins 24-2. In round 6, we lost to the Sharks 16-12. In round 7, we lost to the Storm 14-0. In round 8, we beat the Titans 27-14. In round 9, we beat the Seagulls 26-16. And in round 10, we beat the Bulldogs 26-10. We're at the end of the season, and we finished in 4th place on 32 points. We have 14 wins and 10 losses on the season. We had a points for of 320, and also a points against of 320. For the first time that's ever happened. We play the Eels in the first round of the finals away, and we finished the year winning 3 out of our past 5 games. We play the Parramatta Eels in the first week of the finals, and this is what our team looks like. Fullback, Tane Tuapiki. The wingers, Sunia Taruva and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The centers, Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey. The 5'8", Luke Metcalf, with Nico Hines at halfback. The props, Captain Adam Fanua-Blake and Tino, with Wade Egan at hooker. On the edges, Jackson Ford and Mitch Barnett,
with Jazz Tavonga at lock. On the bench, Paul Roach, Bunty Afoa, Dimitrik Sifakula and Marcelo Montoya. Murata Niokore is the fourth player in this video to retire. But before we get to the finals, the Daily M awards are here. And the Daily M Player of the Year, winning by quite a bit, is Xavier Coates. The runners up, Sione Katoa, Jaden Brayley, Sunia Taruva, Bradman Best, Cody Ramsey, Viliami Kikau, Jack Bostock, and 2 random players. The People's Choice Award goes to Sione Katoa, Captain of the Year, Dylan Brown, Top Try Scorer, Sione Katoa with 16 tries, and Top Point Scorer, Jack Wyden with 141 points. The Team of the Year, Fullback Dane Laurie, Winger Alex Johnston, Centre Jake Avarillo, 5'8" Dylan Brown, Halfback Nathan Cleary, Prop Lindsay Smith, Hooker Jaden Brayley, Second Rower Luciano Leilua, and Lock Corey Horsburgh. We move past the second round with a 10-point win over the Parramatta Eels, 12 points to 2. Wade Egan picks up Player of the Match. We're looking forward to our week off next week. In the third week of the finals, we take on St. George Illawarra Dragons, and as you can see, the team list is still unchanged from the first week of the finals. To the grand final with a 20-point win over the Dragons, 30 points to 10. Tane Tuapiki with a double picks up the Player of the Match. In the grand final, we take on the Parramatta Eels, a rematch of the first game of the finals, and as you can see, our team is still unchanged. We finally did it. After 6 years, the New Zealand Warriors win the grand final by beating the Parramatta Eels 28 points to 24 in the grand final. Adam Pompey, with 2 tries, picks up Player of the Match and the Clive Churchill Medal. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what team you want to see me rebuild next.